Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, Marjorie Correa. It's my pleasure, ladies, to introduce to you the speaker of this evening, Dr. Hemal Kanvinde. Dr. Hemal has an MSc in Life Sciences and a PhD in Ecology. She has had experiences in managing national and international research projects, dealing with biodiversity, coastal ecology, and sustainable livelihoods. She has a working and practical knowledge of social and gender issues. In 2011, she trained as a transplant coordinator at the Mohan Foundation in Chennai. She's been a faculty member for transplant coordinators, training for teaching national and international transplant laws. She has assisted in organizing and planning medical and nursing training workshops on brain death and diseased organ donation. At present, she's the Quality Assurance Officer of Mohan Foundation and is responsible for the running of a national helpline on organ donation. She's also responsible for public engagement to promote organ donation through training volunteers, ambassadors, life members, and interns. Her work on organ donation has been published and been presented at national and international conferences. She's also the trustee of Golden Butterflies, an NGO that works for children's palliative care in Chennai. So ladies, I'm happy to introduce to you Dr. Hemal Kanvinde.
Doctor, you're muted. You'll have to unmute yourself.
So thank you for the team to invite me for this seminar and for this talk. I hope you could understand all parts and get also clarify all the doubts that whenever anybody asks you of anything, you are able to tell them clearly what organ donation is. And thanks, Marjorie, for the wonderful introduction. And I'll start my talk now. In the middle, if anybody wishes to ask a question, you can interrupt, okay? No questions. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So why do we talk about organ donation? That is the first thing that comes to our minds. Like, why would you want to have a talk like this? Sometimes we have heroes amongst ourselves, which we do not know about. These are some of the organ donors. You can see the youth who have become organ donors. Usually donors are in the range of 21 to 35 years because the death is due to road traffic accidents, heavy head trauma. So young people pass away and they become organs. So actually the heroes are the parents or the spouses of these donors. Just a reminder that we are working for the welfare of patients, but actually the heroes are these donors and their family. So why organ donation? Because nowadays the leading cause of death is not communicable diseases. They are all within certain limits of infections, but non-communicable diseases, heart, lung, liver diseases, cardiac issues, cancer, diabetes, these are some of the cause the largest number of death. COPD is lung disease. And so all of these cause a lot of death and morbidity among the patients. And that is why we need to have organ donation as part of our main ethos of our life, that we should say yes to donation because there are many people waiting for an organ. It's like a medical calamity. All of you would remember the tsunami that struck us in, I think, in 2004. And at least on this side of the coast, we had major loss of life and loss of animal, loss of property. We had major losses. Similar to that, where during the 2004 tsunami, we had 2 lakh people dying and the entire world was shocked by it. But within India, there are 2 lakh people waiting for a kidney transplant. But that nobody talks of. Unless it hurts you or hits you, you do not even realize that there is such a major calamity within our society itself. And that is why we should talk about organ donation. So a little bit about how to do it, when can organ donation be done, who can be donors. So what is organ donation is removal of an organ or a tissue from a living or a dead person to be given to a recipient who is in need of it to save his life or give a better quality of life. Okay? Like a person who receives cornea transplant gets a better quality of life, but a person who gets a liver transplant gets a chance of life. So there are two different aspects to organ donation and tissue donation, but both are very, very important for the patient to have. So who can be a donor? Any idea who can be a donor? We could just chat about it. While you are living, can you be a donor?
Yes, we can. I think
Yeah.
we can
So,
donate
yeah. What can you donate when you are living?
a
Kidney.
kidney,
Yeah, kidney. What else?
a piece of
Uh,
liver.
Yeah, piece of liver, right.
Part of liver, yes. And recently, 14 June was one very important day, which was the World Blood Donation Day. So while living, you can donate blood
Yeah,
and bone marrow also. Okay, there are
Plasma?
three things.
yeah.
Bone marrow you can donate when you are living. Part of liver, part of pancreas, and part of lungs are also donated. But these are donated usually from a parent to a child or very close relative. Okay? According to the law, you can donate, while living, you can donate to a living related person. A related person is close family member, which is defined by law as spouse, parents, children, and siblings. Okay? Everybody else is unrelated. You may belong to a big family, grown up together. Your cousin may be closer to you than your own brother or sister. But when it comes to donation, that person becomes an unrelated donor, and there is a different pathway to get permissions to get a donation from an unrelated person. Okay? While dead also, you can donate. So what can you donate when a person dies? Any idea?
Is it the heart?
The
Yeah.
cornea,
Yes.
Cornea, yes.
the tissues,
Yes.
Skin,
skin.
Skin can be donated. Very good.
kidney,
Yeah. So circulatory death and brain death. There are two types of death that are recognized by the medical community and the legal community now. Okay? Well, first is the circulatory death. Please do not call it cardiac death anymore. It is called circulatory death because even after heart stops functioning, now there are special machines that can keep the pumping going or the circulation going. So now the definition has become circulatory death. Under those circumstances, usually tissue donation is done, organ donation is not done. Okay? So tissues like cornea, skin, and heart walls can be donated after circulatory death. Even bone can be donated after circulatory death. Cornea and skin donation can be done at home. If the death is at home, you can do the donation at home itself. It takes 20 minutes for cornea donation and around 40 minutes for skin donation. And there is absolutely no blood loss. There is no information, physical disformity for either of these two donations. After brain death, there is multiple organ donation is possible. So you can save up to 9 people's life by donating your organs after a patient becomes brain dead. Just to make you understand what is brain death. Most of you have heard of brain death or had stories of organ donation. Have you read about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to tell you, this is the legal definition of brain death. A stage at which all functions of the brain stem have permanently and irreversibly ceased. This is the legal definition. This is what all the doctors will follow. So I've given you 3 pictures of a normal brain, a brain dead brain, and a vegetative state or a coma stage. So you can clearly see that in brain dead stage, none of the part of the brain are functioning, but in a vegetative state, only the top part, the cerebrum, the cortex of the brain does not function, the rest of the brain functions. So anytime the cortex can come back to function, and that is why in coma stage, organ donation cannot be done, will not be asked, while brain death stage, organ donation is possible. causes of brain death. There are many causes, but the main cause of death on the roads are speeding, fog, distracted driving, and drinking. Distracted driving is the cell phone. These are major causes of fatal road traffic accidents. What is the meaning of brain death? When there's a head trauma, the brain starts swelling up. Like if we get a trauma on our skin or our bone breaks, there will be a swelling. Even if you have a small crack in any part of your bone, you get a swelling. The swelling is possible because you have skin covering your body and it has capacity to increase, to expand. But when the brain swells up, there is no capacity for it to expand because skull is very hard. And then the brain starts pushing pressure on the neck. And when it is pressure on the neck, the blood cannot go up to the brain and therefore the blood supply stops. And at that stage, it becomes brain death. Okay, so it is not that suddenly somebody will have brain death in 30 seconds or 1 hour. It's not like that. It's a slow process. It takes 6 hours, 1 day, 2 days for the brain to swell up. And then doctors will try to save the swelling, to reduce the swelling. But if sometimes does not help, the treatment doesn't help, it is beyond repair and then it becomes irreversible. Then it causes death. At what age can you become organ donors? Everybody can become an organ donor. Everybody can pledge for organ donation. But some age criteria is there for the organs to function at the best capacity, which would be good for a patient to have because the patient is already a sick patient. So whenever you have to give a patient an organ, it should be of good quality so that the patient can live more than 15 years ahead of his life. He can plan a life of at least 15 years. So doctors would always look at a donor and decide whether the organs is fit enough to donate to a patient. Okay? So these are some of the age criteria. You can see that even corneas, right from 6 months to 90 years, you can donate. So if there is any death, whether in the house or in the hospital, every death should become a cornea donation. That is what should be our pledge to ourselves. How soon do you think that an organ should travel from a donor to a recipient? There is a deceased donor in my hospital and there is a recipient in Marjorie's hospital. So how soon should a donor go, should the organ go? So there are some time limits or time factors. These are called as ischemia time, where there is no blood supply to the organ. It is called ischemic time. So there is cold ischemic time and warm ischemic time. So when the organ is transported, it is put in cold solutions in a cold box and sent to the recipients. So let us see cold ischemic time of such organs. So within 6 hours, heart and lung should be transported. Within 12 hours, liver should be transported after declaration of brain death. But for skin and for eyes, within 6 hours, or for even whole body donation, within 6 hours, the whole body donation cornea donation, and skin donation. All these three should happen within 6 hours of time. Okay? Now, we are all within the law to do this work. It is called as the Transplantation of Human Organs Act, 1994. It's been amended in 2011. You have to find out from your state which act is being adopted by your state. In Tamil Nadu, it is 1994. I think in Karnataka, it may be 2011 amendment. The job of this act basically was to define brainstem death and how to determine brainstem death. Because till 1994, nobody could declare brainstem death. Though it was found, brainstem death was found in 1948, first time when it was discovered. But it took so much time for our country to see that it can be declared as brainstem death. The law also tells you how to regulate the removal, storage, and transportation of organs, to prevent commercial dealing in organs, which is a big thing in India, and to regulate transplant hospitals and tissue banks. So either of you, anybody of you as a group wants to start an eye bank in one of your locations, you have to go to the government to get your permissions and your licenses. So it is under this act. So a lot of illegal things which are coming out in open right now, to submit false documents saying that X is my brother or sister and he's donating to me. This is the punishment. If you sell your organ or you buy your organ, this is the punishment. And if a doctor does such things, he will never be able to practice his doctor's
Profession.
So it is governed by, this whole thing in a state is governed by 3 bodies. I usually don't tell all these things, but you are very senior people who have added this slide for you. There's an authorization committee which only deals with living related donation, unrelated donations. So wherever there is a living donor and a living recipient, that authorization committee has to get in. They give the approval and then only the donation will happen. Appropriate authority is only for getting the hospital registration as well as tissue bank registration. Also, it does brainstem death certification empanelment. Not every doctor will be able to certify brain death, but every doctor is able to certify circulatory death. For brain death, there are specific doctors who have specific training and they are able to declare or certify brain death. And this is what the appropriate authority decides. The state authority, there is a cadaver state authority in every state in India, which maintains the patient waiting list. Suppose I have 10 patients with O positive blood group and there is a donor for O positive. I have to list out my patients according to the date of registration. And the state authority will decide who best matches the donor which has been available in some other hospital. I do not decide who the recipient is. I cannot decide it. Only the state authority will decide. So the thought that the rich people get organs, you can jump the queue, this is all absolutely not right. It's only the state authority which will determine which patient gets the organs. There are forms according to the law for organ donation, for living donation and hospital and tissue bank registrations. So many of you, if you had spoken at home, there would have been some people talking about it, that I do not believe in organ donation. Maybe they have some myths in their minds or misconceptions. So let's just deal with those so that when anybody ever talks to you, you are able to satisfy their thoughts. If my family agrees to donation, the doctor will not save the patient. So whenever a patient goes to a hospital in emergency, because this is a head injury or an internal bleed or an ischemic patient or a stroke patient, they are actually taken to the neuro ICU or an ICU. Those doctors are not involved in transplantation at all. Transplant doctors are nephrologists, hepatologists, heart transplant surgeon. They do not come in this place at all. So you should not believe that if I have a donor card, if my family agrees to donation, they'll not save me. That's not possible. And please believe me that the certification of brain death is done by 4 doctors twice. So there's very little chance of anybody becoming, making you dead or making a person dead. It's just impossible, because in the ICU, there are always these nurses around, the ward boys around, the intensivists around. They're very, very clearly looking at the patient. Okay? Donor family will have to pay for the donation. The donor family does not have to pay anything for the donation. Once the family agrees to donate the organs of their loved one, all the hospital bill stops. Even if the donor is in the hospital for 2 days for certain, management of the donor and keeping the organs healthy and all, maybe the donor is in the hospital for 24 hours or 48 hours, but all that expense is borne by the hospital itself. What if I recover from brain death? And if I donate some organ, I won't have it in my next birth. These are some of the common questions that we do get in our public awareness talks. There's no recovery from brain death. There is nobody ever recovered from brain death. It has been scientifically proved that brain death is death. Okay. But if there is somebody who has become brain dead, there are additional tests that the family can request for also. And that after that, it can be proved to the family that the patient is dead. So do you really believe that if you donate something in the next birth, you will not have those organs? Because our physical body is just born. It's our soul that we actually look for. And so our soul is the one that may, be born again, have a chance to do better in the next life. So organs are always destroyed, whether we bury them or we burn them. Religions forbid organ donation and transplantation, and organ donation mutilates the body. Of course, religions do not forbid organ donation as such, and religions always tell others, the followers, to help others. And so we do not believe that. Prominent religions do not at all say that do not become organ donors. None of those religions. There's only Shintoism in Japanese which says that organ donation is forbidden, but nowhere it says like this. Okay? Organ donation mutilates the body. No, it's a surgical retrieval. There are very, very high quality surgeons which retrieve the organs and they suture the body properly, cover it properly, pack it properly, and is handed over to the family. Even an open casket funeral is possible after organ donation. So if you wish to become an organ donor, what do? You have heard about myths, you have heard about the facts, you have heard about brain death. Now you think you want to become an organ donor. So what do you do? Okay. First of all, you can pester Marjorie, because she's the one who's our ambassador in Mangalore. Okay. That's one thing you can do. Second you can do is you can go to our website. Over there in blue color or green color is pledge organs. There you can go and pledge your organs. You can download a donor card app on your Android phone. If any one of you is going for a renewal of your driving license, you could tell the authorities to put a yes to the question on you wish to be an organ donor. Question number 7 in all RTOs is, do you wish to be an organ donor? You can do that also. This is available to all over India in this. All these 3 parts are available all over. Okay. This is a donor card. This is how a donor card looks, and it is a small card. And I don't have mine over here just now. No, I don't have it right now with me, but a small card, your name and age and everything comes through. Which organs you wish to donate can be ticked marked on the online form. And also there is an emergency contact number. In case, unfortunately, there is an accident, you may not be brain dead. You will just be hurt. But still there is an emergency contact person. A person can contact the emergency person and tell them that such a person has been admitted to hospital. So that is the value of the donor card. It is not a legal document. Even if you register as an organ donor, you still need to inform your family members that you wish to be an organ donor, because under the circumstances of brain death, the family has to sign a legal form giving their consent to donation of XYZ organs. You may tick mark everything over here, but at the time of death, maybe your lungs are not well, you fell down and you hurt your lungs, or something happened. So the doctors will say which organs are worthwhile to save another person's life. Okay? So that's what you can do. You take a donor card, but please inform your family members, because that's the only way it will work. So a little bit about Mohan Foundation. Our motto is life, pass it on. We have offices in so many places right now. Mohan stands for Multi-Organ Harvesting Aid Network. What do? We do a lot of public awareness. We do a lot of training for grief counselors and transplant coordinators. And the third activity we do is we network with hospitals and state governments to see that all protocols of diseased organ donation go smoothly. So these are some of the work that we do. These are all donors that I have kept pictures of. So what do we want to do? This is our wish list, Every NGO has a wish list. So we want to increase our impact slowly, like a group of 10 of you have got together and talking to you. Slowly, we wish to increase our impact in the public, that all public of India know about organ donation. So we want to also create a dedicated group of ambassadors or angels. This wouldn't have been possible if Marjorie had not got involved. So the ambassador is a very important part of our work. They go ahead and they create awareness opportunities for us. Otherwise, even they they can do their own awareness sessions. We want to wish to conduct more sessions with nurses and other paramedical students. Nurses, because at every death, they are able to counsel the family for at least cornea donation. So through all of you, if we can get more nurses involved, I would really love to speak to them about organ donation and pain. We wish also to train transplant coordinator and grief counselors. These are basically social workers, sociologists, psychologists who get a 1 month training or a 6 months training, and they can work in hospitals to become grief counselors. We want to increase our reach of the counselors. Right now, we have one in Manipal, but nobody in Mangalore. So we'd like to have somebody in Mangalore. We'd like all places where there is a district hospital, there should be a grief counselor. Every district hospital should be able to do cornea retrieval at least. With the motto that every Indian suffering from end-stage organ failure should get a second chance. So this is our motto. Thank you all for your patient listening. I hope you got clarity in the concepts of organ donation. I'm very much happy to take any questions, any discussion points, anything. I would love to do that.
Hemal,